Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to the start of another week. It is Monday. No games, of course, in midweek this week. So it's all eyes on that trip to Aston Villa at the weekend. Can Arsenal get a little bit of revenge for what happened against Unai Emery's side last season? 2 defeats, of course, one very, very costly one at the Emirates towards the end of the season. We're not really going to talk about that game just yet today. We'll wait until we get a little bit later on in the week. We're going to talk about Mikel Merino as that deal finally begins to edge a little bit closer, expecting some movement to happen on that in the next few days as we gear towards weekend. So we'll look at that. We'll talk about look at what Martin Odegaard has been saying about Bukayo Saka, who now has 59 goals already in his very short but fruitful Arsenal career. Going to have lots of questions and comments from what you guys have been saying since yesterday's show as well. So let's get started, shall we? And we'll start with Mikel Merino, who has just been an ongoing source of discussion when it comes to Arsenal during this summer. Like I said before, I went away on holiday fairly recently. I thought probably, I was told at that point that look, it's nowhere near as close as people are saying it is. But obviously the deal is on. It's just a case of trying to get that agreement with Sociedad, the structure right, all that sort of stuff. But even though I was kind of told that it's not as close as it was, as people have been saying, I still did kind of expect that it probably would happen by the time I got home. It hasn't, but here we are on the Monday, and I do think this will probably be the week that we see a big sort of step forward in the Merino deal. It is now close, but you know we've been saying that for a while now. But as I said, I think this is going to be the week that it really does start to build up. He was left out of the Sociedad squad for their game, of course, at the weekend. Their manager was talking about before the game. He said it was because of transfer negotiations that were going on. He's been speaking again since the game at the weekend, and he's been basically, the way he's talking, it's like he accepts that this is, you know, Merino is a player who's not going to be part of his plans for the coming season. He says it's clear that there are two players like them in the entire league. Real Sociedad will not be able to bring in a player to replace Robin. I've forgotten his surname, the Robin he's talking about here. He's on his way to Atletico Madrid, I think. And he can perform as well as Mikel. From there, everything is different and everything changes. It's not even going to tell you if Zubimendi accepts the offer. He's talking about Liverpool there and leaves. We're all aware of that. What Robin and Merino have done in recent years, that's why Arsenal want Mikel Merino, and Liverpool willing to pay the release clause to take Martin Zubimendi. So some real tough things going on for the Sociedad manager. It looks like Zubimendi, of course, is going to be staying. He turned down that opportunity to move to Liverpool, but Merino is expected to complete that move to Arsenal. And it's going to be a really interesting one in terms of what it means for Mikel's long-term plans. I've been writing my column for Caught Offside, which will be going out later, a little bit later on. By the time you're watching this, it might already be out, and I've tweeted about it. And I was talking about the impact that Merino's arrival could have on Arsenal's midfield. And I do think when you look at it, you know, it will take him a while to get into the starting 11. I imagine you're kind of looking at a similar situation to what we see in Calafiori. He's got to settle in, adjust. Mikel will give him as much time as he needs to do that. I can't imagine he throws him straight into the starting 11. But long term, when he gets his sort of feet under the table and he's adapted to life at Arsenal and England and the Premier League, he just looks that perfect fit, doesn't he, for that left-sided 8 role that at the moment Declan Rice is playing in. I imagine Merino is going to be the player who plays in that long term, and Rice is going to come back and sit in the number 6 role. But we will wait and see. Still stuff to do. It's not done yet at the time of recording this show. It's not done yet. It's not agreed yet. But I do think this will certainly be the week that we see it really sort of move closer to completion, if not actually be completed, as we're not got too much time left of the transfer window, have we? And there could still be other things that Arsenal will be doing, both in terms of incomings and outgoings as well. So it could be a busy couple of weeks, but Merino certainly getting a little bit closer now to becoming finally an Arsenal player. Okay, now I have created an Inside Arsenal Fantasy Premier League. If you're watching this, you can see the code for it there. In the description below, you'll find a link to the FPL website, and the code will be in there as well. And you can join. I've mentioned it in yesterday's show, and lots of people have already joined. I think we've got about 300 plus in the league already. And during the season, I thought this would be a fun introduction that we could do. And after each sort of game week, I'll bring up like the top 10, which you can see on the board here, and give some praise to those who are leading the way. At the moment, it is Jeebus 4.0 from Vidon Twardowski, I think that is, who is leading the way with a 97-point week to start things off. There is his team there on the left. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see 97 points there. Unfortunately, it's a little bit small to actually see who's it with. That on the right is my side. I'm not too bothered about that. 59 points. I'm quite happy with that. When you've got the record that I have recently in FPL, you take a 59-point week. Didn't get my captain right. Went with Isak, who got me, I think it was 10 points, but had Salah in there, had Havertz in there. You know, you captain one of those two players, you're on a sort of 24-point captain choice for the week, which would have certainly boosted me up the table. I think in our Inside Arsenal League now, I'm already down in, let me just see, I'm in 151st at the moment in that, or joint 151st in that. But it is Jeebus 4.0 who is leading the way at the moment with 97 points. So well done to you. And yeah, if you want to get involved in that league, have a little bit of fun, we'll do some updates as the season goes. Then, as I said, the code is below in the description. You can see it there on the screen as well. So type that in, join the league, and yeah, good luck. Let's have a bit of a laugh this season when it comes to FPL. Right, let's talk about Bukayo Saka now, because why not? Because it's always fun to talk about Bukayo Saka, because it's such an utter joy that he is an Arsenal player. Of course, a match winner once again at the weekend. Brilliant assist for Kai Havertz. Brilliant goal to make it 2-0 just at the time when Arsenal were beginning to rock. Things have got a little bit sloppy in that second half, and he pops up with a big goal, as he always does, Bukayo Saka. Now, Martin Odegaard has been talking about Saka. He was asked, after the game at the weekend, what is the limit for Bukayo? He got 20 goals last season for the first time in his career. Can he do more than that this season? And he said, I think there is no roof for this guy. It is unbelievable, the quality that he has and the professional he is, how much he loves the game and how much he puts into it every day. The sky is the limit for him. I'm just happy to have him on my team, and we've got to help him improve all the time and push him. I'm really happy for him. I think he will just get better and better. You see him every day in training. He is working so hard, and he is working on all the small details to get better. I am sure he is just going to improve and improve. I can't wait to see where he takes it. And I think it's a really interesting debate. What should be the target for Bukayo Saka this coming season? Like I said, 20 goals in all comps for the first time in his career last season. Every season so far, he has improved season on season. It's going to take some way to improve on that from playing where he does to score more than 20 goals. But he's definitely got the quality to do that. And I think that has to be his target. You sort of, add another 5 to that. Can Saka make it a 25-goal season this season? Can he add another 5, maybe 10 assists to his game this season as well? Could he potentially be above a 40-plus goal and assist season for Bukayo Saka? Should that be his target? Those are lofty ambitions, lofty targets, but he's got the quality to do that. And, we always talk again about the need for Arsenal to sign a striker. It's an ongoing debate, obviously, and everyone's got their opinion on it. But I think the room for improvement that Saka has got in terms of to score more goals, the room for improvement that Kai Havertz has got, or certainly if he can continue the numbers that he's been hitting since the start of 2024, I see no reason why he can't get around the 20-goal mark this season. Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus can certainly add to what they scored last season. No doubt about that. You would want both of them to score probably, 10-plus goals more than they did last season, if possible. Leandro Trossard, we know, is the best finisher at the club. He got a hatful of goals last season. Can he do that again? It's why I'm not that concerned about a striker coming in at Arsenal. I think they need another attacking option, but I just don't think it has to be a central striker, because I think they've got goals in this squad. Well, I know they've got goals in this squad. We saw that last season. But I think there is also, most importantly, a real chance for those players that are already here to score even more and take that number that we saw last season and make it even higher. Right, let's move on to some of your questions and some comments from you guys now. Ollie's got in touch, says, I love your non-reaction review, Charles. Not everyone does. Thank you very much for that. It's the reason I watch your content. Zinni was solid. Partey was a bit sloppy with the ball, and Timber was exciting and sloppy all in one. But overall, it was a great first game performance. Far better start than last season. Prediction is a 96-point season. Wow, 96 points. I would take that. And you'd have to think, if Arsenal do get themselves to 96 points, and surely they will actually get their hands on the title this season. There's been lots of reaction to what I was talking about yesterday on Thomas Partey and why I thought the criticism of him was a little bit harsh. after the weekend, and I thought he actually had quite a good game, albeit did obviously tire a bit in that second half and make a few sloppy passes. Ash says, on Partey, he wasn't bad yesterday by any means. I think the whole team was suffering from a bit of post-summer fever. Having said that, I do think that it's time to look to move him on. I do appreciate that he has a very unique skill set, and when he's on it, he's a fantastic player. But I just wonder whether that justifies how little or often we see him in a season due to injury and how long it takes him to get up to speed. Personally, I'm much more of a fan of Jorginho in that role. I won't jump on the Partey out bandwagon, but I do think we need to listen to offers if we get them. And I also think the arrival of Merino will see Deck back in the number 6 and drop Thomas Partey to bench. I agree with that last bit. Anyway, I think if Merino signs, as we were just talking about, I think long term, he is going to be the option at left 8. I'll be very surprised if he's not. And that will mean that Declan Rice does move back into that number 6 role. But I still think Thomas has got a really important part to play this season, whatever happens. I don't see him moving now. Wouldn't rule it out. But, as you say, it's time we move him on. And Arsenal have been open to moving Thomas Partey on for each of the last 2 summers. They're open to doing it this summer. They were certainly open to doing it last summer. But bids didn't come in. And so unless those bids come in, they're not going to be able to move him on. And so far, they haven't arrived. And I don't really see one arriving now in the next 2 weeks. It could. There has been interest from Saudi Arabia, but it's never got to any more than that. I couldn't sit here right now and say for certain that interest isn't going to materialize suddenly in the next 2 weeks into a firm offer. And if it does, then it'd be one thing that Arsenal would consider. But so far, it hasn't happened. So I still think he's going to have a big part to play. And just because he might now, certainly after the arrival of Moreno, if it happens, he might have to adjust to being a bit more of a bit part player when he's fit than he's maybe been used to so far during his time in North London. He's going to have to accept that. But I still think he's got a big part to play in this team this season before probably he leaves on a free transfer at the end of the current campaign. Here's one from Lansra Vex. Still feel we need something else in the final third. If you could choose one of these 5, who would it be? Nico Williams, Kudus, Eze, Gyökeres, and Osimhen. It's quite an easy one for me. I'd say go with Nico Williams in that. I just think he's a fantastic player, and I think he's going to get better and better. I don't think it's a be-all and end-all, as I've said before. I think Martinelli has massive room for improvement this season and is still a wonderful, wonderful talent. And Leandro Trossard from that left-hand side, we saw score, 18 goals or whatever it was last season. So I'm not going to be devastated if Nico Williams doesn't sign. But if you're offering me one of those 5 players, and I think Mohamed Kudus is a fantastic player as well, and I love Eze. But out of those 3, I just think another winger who can score goals and add goal threat is what Arsenal need right now. I'm just not on that boat that other people are, where they have to sign a central striker. I think they've got enough goals, and I think Kai Havertz playing that role. Arsenal are a very, very good team. I just think they need another option out wide. And for me, even though Arsenal have got Martinelli and Trossard, I just think Nico Williams would be an explosive addition to this squad, who would just make Arsenal a fantastic, fantastic team going forward with options all over the front line. So he would be the one I would go for out of those 5. But if you disagree with me and you've got a different answer to that, you guys let me know, as always, in the comments below who you would choose out of those potential 5 players, if you could just choose one, and tell me why as well. Right, here's one from McCormick AFC. He says, Charles, I'd love to know your predictions for the year. Who will be our top scorer in each comp? Breakout star, most assists. I probably should have thought about this before I've actually just answered it live on air. Top scorer in each comp, I will go in the Premier League. I'm going Bukayo Saka. In the Champions League, I'll go Kai Havertz. I don't know about the cups because it's impossible to predict those ones, to be honest, because I just don't know who's going to be playing and what sort of starting 11 Mikel's going to choose. Breakout star, that's an interesting one. I think the breakout, I'm going to go Calafiori, which is obviously, I suppose, breakout star. Maybe you're thinking more of a younger player, but look, Calafiori's a new player who we don't know that much about, but I think when he settles into this team and when he gets a good run in it, I think he's going to show everyone just how good a player he is. If you're going to youngster, it's tough to look anywhere apart from even Ranieri. It just depends if Ranieri gets the amount of minutes that allows him to really become a breakout star, but he's certainly got the talent to do that. Most assists, it's going to be Saka again. I just can't see any way. I mean, Odegaard could well be up there, but I just think the way Saka plays, the balls that he puts into the box, especially with those back. I'm looking at that goal that Havertz scored at the weekend, and I just think you add Merino into that mix, and you've got Saka getting the ball out wide. You've got Havertz making that run into the penalty area as a central striker. You've got Merino, who's so good when it comes to aerial duels and getting on the end of the box. It's just like we saw with that goal for Spain against Germany at the Euros. I just think Saka's delivery from out wide is going to be such a weapon for those sort of back post deliveries, kind of like we saw. Although the Havertz one wasn't really back post for the goal at the weekend, but you know what I mean on that. So I just think Saka's going to have a field day with Declan Rice as well, making those later on. So you suddenly got really strong aerial threats coming into the box to get on the end of those Saka's delivery. So most assists for him. In terms of predictions for the season, in terms of Arsenal, look, I think Arsenal are going to win the league this season. I've been saying it, and I really do. I'm really confident that Arsenal are going to win the league this season. I'm not saying it's a given. Obviously, I think Man City are certainly the favourites. They showed that yesterday with the way they rocked up and won at Chelsea so comfortably, even without Rodri. And you look at the probability, I think the Opta probability of who wins the league this season, I think City were on 80%, which shows the challenge that Arsenal and everyone else faces. But I still just got a feeling Arsenal are going to win the league this year. So I'm going with that. And I think they might win a cup as well. So I'm predicting a very, very successful season for Arsenal. Okay, so one from Richard, who says, watch your show every day, Charles. Thank you very much. Great to see you back after your holidays. Not much in the media regarding the Wolves player grabbing Havertz around the neck while he was on the floor. Had he done that while both were standing, 100% it's a red card, so why was that overlooked? And then the same player grabbing Jesus by his butt. Yeah, that was really weird. In terms of the guy grabbing around the neck, I don't know why that's not a red card. I didn't see it at the time. It was at the completely opposite end of the stadium to me, so I had no idea what had gone on whatsoever. And after I remember did my player ratings video, and loads of people in the comments were saying, why haven't you talked about that? It was like literally we didn't get a replay, and I had no idea what was going on. But I haven't watched it back since getting home. I don't see how. And some of the comments saying, oh, it wasn't enough force for it to be a red card. It's rubbish. He's literally put all his body weight down on his neck, grabbing him round by the neck. I don't get how it's not a red card. When you compare that to what happened in the Newcastle game when it was Fabian Schär, wasn't it, got sent off for headbutting Ben Brereton Diaz, which was clearly just two guys putting their heads together and Diaz falling over and pretending he'd been headbutted. Yet they send him off and they agree to that with VAR, and yet they look at it with that Havertz one. I just don't get it, but nothing surprises me anymore. The fact that Bruno Guimaraes didn't get sent off for that forearm on Jorginho last year in the Newcastle game, nothing surprises me anymore, because that's the most blatant red card I've ever seen in football. A guy running up and deliberately forearming someone with force in the head and not getting sent off for it. So nothing surprises me anymore on that, Richard. Here's one from Auden, I think it's pronounced. It says, hey, Charles, how do Arsenal justify the low prices for their players when Spurs are able to get 20 plus for someone like Oliver Skip? Say what you want about Nketiah and Nelson, but I believe they've done way more than Skip. Well, that's what, but the thing is, and this is why I've been taking it up against people who've been saying, oh, Arsenal should have just sold Nketiah to Marseille. So I don't think they should have done, because Marseille just didn't offer what Arsenal wanted for Nketiah. So a lot of people are saying, I'll just take the money for Nketiah, are probably the same people who then have a go at Arsenal for being bad sellers over the years. You can't really have it both ways. So I think Arsenal are right in terms of holding out for more for Nketiah and for Nelson this summer. And I think what they held out for and got for Emil Smith-Rowe was a really, really good deal. So, I'm hoping if Eddie or Nelson or both go between now and the end of the season, then before the end of the transfer window, then they need to get good money for them. If not, then they may as well stick around. When you say justify the low prices, in recent years, they've been terrible sellers, Arsenal. But I do feel this summer, maybe they've been showing signs of being a little bit stronger when it comes to the value of some of the players that they have. And, you look at the Smith-Rowe deal, and that's a very good deal, no doubt about it. I thought the Balogun deal was a good deal last summer as well. And we'll see what happens with Nketiah and Nelson over the next fortnight. And that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. As always, whether you've been watching or listening, do join the FPL League, as I flagged up at the start of the show. Again, you can find the link to it in the description with the code as well, and join in what should be a little bit of a fun thing to do over the course of the season. Have a great day, great start to your week. I'll speak to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.